Hello everyone, we'll be taking a look at Ukraine, Israel, and other conflicts of interest. As of this recording, it is November 2nd, 2023. So we got a few updates here, so bear with me here as we look at a lot of these just small frontline updates. But first of all, this is the one that's most of note. We can see out here, north of Krasnohorivka, the Russian armed forces are advancing closer to Novokalinova out here, and we can also see that the front line seems to have uh, been pushed back a bit, or at least clarified out here. As we can see, Stepova right there, as we just talked about, and then Bogdanivka. Take another quick look. Yeah, as we can see, Russian forces pushing a bit past this. Appears to be this dam over here, the reservoir, I believe it was what this is, and as well Klashivka. We can see out here that Russian forces have been perhaps pushed back a bit past this field, or maybe this is just a small map clarification. And Petroshtrayneva, sorry about the pronunciation. Yeah, we can see that the front line either has extended some or Ukrainian forces have been pushed back a bit. So yeah, a lot of very small um, front line updates. But other than that, I didn't see anything else updated across the front line for right now. All right, now taking a look at some of the combat that's being reported out here. Don't have an update in terms of combat. Just as we can see that this is just what was 43 combat engagements, and that was just a day ago. And over here, just Zelensky reporting that the Russians are attempting to advance near Volodar, and just in general, we can see just broad shelling across the front line. Um, Other than that, there isn't really anything else of note that I want to talk about here. So, in terms of stories you might have heard coming out of Ukraine, nothing really of note other than things you might have already heard, such as General Zaluzhny from, Ukrainian general, just saying that the war has taken on positional nature, i.e., static front lines and trench warfare, just war that doesn't really seem to move a whole lot, and he's just uh, seeming to recommend operations that have created this positional warfare and how to overcome it. And also, something interesting: Russian forces are preparing for another assault on the Avdiivka direction. As we know, it was as from equipment losses and just footage that we've seen, it's been very high casualty and high equipment losses for Russia. And just a really quick story here, just talking about the U.S. Broadening its sanctions in terms of military supplies and just supplies technology that supplies the Russian military. So yeah, this is I just really wanted to just show this article and just talk about it really briefly, and that it's expanding to two of 130 entities and people from Turkey, China, and the United Arab Emirates. So it's not necessarily just Russian uh, sanctions on Russia, but those who are supplying this equipment to Russia. So taking a look at what Oryx is reporting out here. So previously they were reporting 4,687 Ukrainian equipment losses, but now they're 4,685. So either, they're clarified, perhaps, a couple of things were not right or whatever. But as we've talked about before, Oryx is not as consistently updated as it was. So, just take that as you will. And just looking at Russian equipment losses before, they're at 12,902, and now they're at 12,948. So I'm assuming that this is this guy's name, Romano Stash, or whatever this guy's name is. Uh, so we're seeing him again, and last time, if you remember, when we talked about him, he was launching a shovel from an RPG, and now we can see here is that he is now strapped a frag grenade to the RPG, I guess. So, yeah, if we just skip ahead a bit, we can see that he indeed does launch it. So, like I said, this is a war of the 21st century. He's got his old TikTok patch, and it's reported on TikTok, and the Ukrainian, what is it, ground forces or ground defense, little symbol like emoji thing here, graphic, whatever. So yeah, I just wanted to show that really quick, just because there's some wacky footage come out of here. Now, taking a look at Israel-Palestine out here, we can see the usual hostilities going on between Israel and Hezbollah, of course, and more unrest happening in the West Bank, as we can see, and more missile attacks going on in Israel. But now, if we just take a quick look at Gaza, we can see that uh, this northwest push into the Gaza Strip has seemingly stayed more or less the same from last time we looked at it. And, this corner out here to the east doesn't seem to have progressed anymore from what we've seen. But from what I can see here, this appears to, yeah, and as we can see an hour ago, from what is being reported, they have completed their entire encirclement of the Gaza City. At least that's what they're reporting. So the Gaza City seems to be completely cut off and, as he said, encircled at this point. So as to how this will turn out, if they're really going to completely, block by block, house by house, clear out, all of this, because as we know, this is a very densely populated area, or at least it was. Um, if that's what they're going to try and do, it's going to be really hard for them. Maybe if they try and siege them out, as they've more or less been doing, I don't know, but we'll just have to see. So I just want to talk about this story here really quick. Biden, of course, voicing support for a pause in the war. Of course, pause in quotations, because if you say ceasefire, that's going to mean that, Hamas is going to try and, regroup and rearm, but calling for a pause for, humanitarian purposes. Of course, Biden, I assume, well, not assume, I know that he is anti-Hamas considering the American support for Israel. So it's obvious that he really wants a pause, but trying to call it a ceasefire would not look very well for their support for Israel. So I just wanted to show this really quick, as I'm sure you probably already seen anyways, but just the way that, politicians have to, I guess, more or less carefully select their words in these circumstances, and just, just highlight kind of what's going on out there. So here's some footage coming out of the conflict right here. I'm only going to show a couple stills of it um, from this footage, although nothing really, like no one's injured or anything, but or at least no, you don't see anybody injured. But let's just take a look. So this is the taken point of view of a Hamas, I guess, militant, whatever you want to call them, and they're hiding in the bushes. And here are some tanks rolling by out here. And so he runs up to the tank out here, yeah, as we can see, and he places an explosive, and of course, he runs away and it detonates, and of which he later gets it's this kind of, either RPG or whatever it is, just explosive projectile, and he launches it. And, it's not, I mean, it's very smoky, so it's not entirely sure if what he makes contact with, although it's more or less assumed that he makes contact with one of these armored vehicles, either one of the tanks or whatever. So yeah, I just want to talk about that. This is the kind of warfare we're probably going to see if if this war does continue. This is exactly what the kind of footage we're going to keep seeing out of there. So now moving over here to what they're reporting out here in Mali and Somalia. I know it's not a place we talk about too often, but the Malian junta is hindering ongoing UN withdrawal from Mali, as we talked about, a few days ago, actually like a week or more ago, enabling, jihadi militants to attack UN peacekeepers. So from what I believe is that what they're talking about, yeah, making it easy for Al Qaeda and IS affiliated militants to attack UN peacekeepers. And as we talked about, or as it's reported, the IS affiliated militants have attacked UN forces at least once since July, and yeah, 7 times in October and 12. Yeah, so just it's just in general, it's just not a good sign out there. And from what I understand is that the Malian junta is trying to associate itself with Wagner, and as we know, Wagner at least was a really big power in Russia and just in the Ukraine war. So that's what's going on out there. And just a quick thing about Somalia over here. From what I understand, there's some clan infighting around Somalia. If you're at least relatively familiar with the Somalian area and kind of what's going on out there, causing Al-Shabaab. And as we know, Al-Shabaab is another, I believe, IS affiliated, either it's IS or Al-Qaeda another very, very extremist terrorist group. Um, that's based in Africa, uh, to attack and cause more contested areas in central Somalia. Now, last thing I want to talk about here for today was here's some footage coming out of again Myanmar, and from what it appears, from what I've been seeing out of all of this footage, is that the rebel groups seem to be either gaining significant amounts of territory, and as we can see, seizing like incredible amounts of equipment from captured outposts and like bases, in the Shan State and the Kian State, as we've talked about before. So that's just mostly what I wanted to show here, is that either either the only footage that's coming out of here is pro rebel, I suppose, footage, or these groups are actually having significant um, gains throughout Myanmar. But that's just another thing we'll just have to really wait and see. All right, so that seems to be everything I could see, or that seemed of note as of today. And as usual, if there's anything you want me to talk about or anything else that I might have missed, just let me know. And all these conflicts are constantly fluctuating and changing their things, especially in Gaza. It's just changing all the time. So in terms of information that is reported, it can change like the minute that I report about it, something else can happen, right? So I just want to let you know, like as it stands, this is how it looks. And yep, see, look, right as I'm reporting this, it's the map has changed. So yeah. Anyways, um, yeah, see, look out here too, literally right as I'm talking about it, and right as I'm about to finish this video. So, anyways, thanks for watching.